Welcome. Welcome to Hug Nation Live. Welcome to a daily practice of gratitude and connection and raising our baseline or lowering our baseline, I guess. Lowering our baseline and remembering how much we have to be grateful for, how much beauty, how much love, how much wonder is available to us all day, every day. But it takes a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of effort to bypass the biological need to focus on what's wrong and what's scary and what's a threat and start going, actually, I'm safe in this moment. And so from that safety and that relaxedness, I totally wasn't even thinking about how I am wearing clean underwear. And I had access to a bidet last night. And right before I used a bidet, I did this thing and it wasn't pleasant. Well, it was natural, but not something I wanted to keep around the house. And the plumbing flushed it away. And honestly, up until this moment, I didn't give it a thought. It was below my baseline, so I took it for granted. But in this moment, huzzah for plumbing! Huzzah for flushing toilets! Huzzah for a bidet that keeps my sphincter beautiful. I actually told the story to my parents yesterday about how I occasionally have dryness around my anus. I should have put this in the name of today's show is Anal Talk. And this actually isn't even the lessons that I said I was going to share, but I told my parents about when I went to the doctor, and you read online if you have itching around your anus, like the number one cause is worms. And mid-story, my mom goes, "Oh my gosh, I know that." He goes, "You know how many times in the middle of the night when you wouldn't stop crying that I took a flashlight to your butt to see if that's what was causing you to be so uncomfortable?" But as far as I know, never had worms. Okay, so I go, but I'm preparing to go to the doctor. I was so in my head about making this stranger turn a bright light and getting all up in my butt. And so I was like so clean and I'm still so nervous. And, I put on clean underwear, I shower, put on clean underwear, go to the appointment. And after my female doctor gives the inspection, she's like, that's a very well-maintained anus. I've never been so proud. So it turns out it was just dryness. And anyway, so I'm grateful in this moment to be free of anal itching. That's one thing that I teach when I talk about gratitude is that all the hardships and suffering and injuries of your life are not to be forgotten. They are to be brought into your now gratitude practice so you can be like, that's not happening anymore. Oh, wow. I am not tortured by anal itching today. It's a good day. Good morning, Gerbot. Good morning, Brent. Gerbot says, huzzah for washing machines and dryers. Seriously. I mean, like dishwashers is one of those things that I can live without a dishwasher. I actually don't mind washing dishes, but if I had to wash my own clothes, I would be unpleasantly stenchy. Oh, let's try an improv song before we get going too far. We're gathered here in the morning, telling tales about our bodies. And Sometimes people drink alcohol. I think they're called hot toddies. But I wouldn't care about that one bit because I live here on Earth, not Uranus. And I'm glad that I don't have itching around my anus. It's love morning. It's Hug Nation Live. It's love morning. It's great to be alive. Okay, that one was a stretch. If you're new here, I try to improv a song and melody every morning, so give me some slack. Wayne Brady, I am not. Gerbot and Brent are here. If anyone else is here and wants to say hello, just leave a comment. We are broadcasting live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And sometimes that's weird because your comment, you might not see a comment. So I try to read them and try to pop people's names on screen so we can see one another. Also on screen right now, you can see a little screenshot from the latest mini episode of Stay Sparked that I just uploaded. And it's relevant because it's basically talking a little bit about what is Love Ambassador. And if you're here, I'm talking about you. I consider the term Love Ambassador not to be a title that one studies for and learns and earns. It is bestowed upon you the moment you recognize that the world could use more goodness and kindness, and I can do that. Good morning, Juan. I want to say massive gratitude to Gerbot for not only participating in the Pink Ride at Burning Man this year, but capturing it so beautifully on video. And he shared with me some of the raw footage, and it's so fun to feel myself riding alongside you all and hearing the cries. I actually played it once just in the background while I was doing other things so I could just hear that, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yeah, awesome. Woo! Juan says, my garbage truck has broken 3 times today already. Good news, I'm on vacation next week. Ooh, that sounds frustrating. But I'm glad that happy for your upcoming vacation. How nice to have the burn, a little bit of work, and then vacation. Yeah. Oops. What's going on here? Hello, Kiri. Good morning. Gifat says, grateful I was able to make yesterday's Zoom gratitude. That was a treat. I was, driving, but I was so good to see your face. Kiri was grateful to get a voice memo from me. I was just feeling so grateful. I think it'll be available soon, or actually maybe I can even another topic, but there is a video that exists of the gratitude circle that happened before the Pink Ride that Kiri was leading, and it was so delightful. Thank you. Oh, and then she says, I decided this morning to send audio love bombs to a few of my friends. I so recommend doing that. Like there are times when sometimes I'm driving the car and I'm stuck in traffic, and I'll just see people are home so I can have a conversation with them. But sometimes I just go to text, do a voice memo, and send people just little short things like, hey, thinking about you. And sometimes the responses I get are incredible. And it's like I try to do it whenever I remember. And, I left a voicemail message yesterday to a guy that was a coaching client of mine 6 years ago. And I just popped my head. I'm like, oh, hey, thinking about you. I feel like, I have 3 basic life lessons to share, but In fact, the first one I'll share is, well, this is a lead into it. I'm grateful I'm not a surgeon because I do not have the hands for it. This morning I decided I went out and I have a outdoor ficus. It's probably 3 feet max, 2.5 feet, little outdoor ficus in a pot. And I went out to check the moisture and I saw, oh, it's got this white powdery stuff on a lot of its leaves, which is not a fungus. It's a bug. It's these little bugs, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's a fungus. I don't know, but it's bad, and it's bad for plants. And so I went and got some alcohol to wipe it off and then some neem oil to spray on afterwards. And I didn't realize, one, how many leaves were infected, and two, how many fucking leaves it had. Like, if you would have said, how many leaves do you think this plant has? I would have been like, 50? No. Way more. So I spent a lot of time this morning wiping off leaves. And the way the ficus plant is, if you push too hard, it rips off the leaf, and then it starts a little white, I was going to say pus. No, sap, starts coming out. Now, there's another plant that I have to wipe off occasionally because it gets another thing on it. It's a ZZ plant, like this type of plant. And those leaves are pretty hardy. I can wipe those off with alcohol, and I rarely rip off a leaf. But I ripped off so many leaves this morning off this poor ficus. And it just made me think, man, I feel terrible pulling off the leaves of this plant. Imagine if I was a surgeon and I'm like, oh yeah, I went in there to fix your gallbladder and turns out I took out a few other things. I mean, I didn't mean to, but what can you do? I guess perfect timing for a robotic surgery future that is happening right now. Good morning, Sebastian. It's 6 p.m. in Valencia, Spain. So happy to have you tune in. Would love to hear something that you're feeling grateful for. Okay, so related to gardening is one of the 3 life lessons that it took me until my 50s to learn. If you're into plants at all, or even if you're not, people are either into plants or they think, oh, I can't keep them alive. If you can't keep them alive, buy a moisture monitor. They cost like $5 on Amazon. And just every few days, dip it in, and it's probably going to say moist, and wait until it's dry. For most plants, you can read, some of them say keep soil moist, which is not often. Most of the tropical plants that you have indoors, at least in San Diego, they like to be soil dry before you water it again. Because if the soil stays moist, then the roots develop, they can't breathe, and it ends up killing the plant. The other thing you can do is, forget to water for a long amount of time, but overwatering is usually why people kill their plants. Okay, so this is all background. So I had the belief that if a plant is happy in a 8-inch pot, it's going to be even happier in a 10-inch pot, and even happier than that in a 14-inch pot, right? Because it's like, if I was a fish and I was in a tiny thing, wouldn't I like a bigger aquarium, and even a bigger aquarium? And it feels kind of cruel to keep it in a small aquarium. So I thought more room for roots, happier plant. That is not the case. Because when there's a ton of dirt in a pot, especially what they sell as potting soil, it doesn't dry out. It stays moist for much longer than the roots would like. If you ever buy a plant, from a nursery, the soil that it's in is usually like a lot of bark and very airy. It's not dense soil, because that way they can water it frequently and have it dry out frequently. That's what you want. You want to be able to water and it dry out. Soak it dry out. Soak it, dry out. If it stays soaked, bad. If it stays dried out, bad. But so I have had these beautiful plants that I put into huge pots, and then they did terribly. And then I got a moisture monitor and realized, oh shit, this soil, there's so much soil. It's taking a month to dry out. So I had to repot a lot of things. The things that the solutions are, keep them in small pots until they're like really root bound, and water them frequently, because the water won't stay long. You have to water a lot more frequently with a small root bound pot. Or soil that is very aerated, and you can look at additives like perlite and bark, and like orchid mix is really aerated. But I had no idea. There's a plant right here that I'm not going to show you because I'm embarrassed, but it is, I don't know, it's struggling, and it's been struggling for months because I gave it a huge pot and didn't like it. This one here behind me that's doing so awesome, it's still in the pot that I bought it in. It's not in this is not full of dirt. Ta-da! And this dude is happy. Okay. That was life lesson number 1 that I was going to share today. Sebastian says, I think you're talking about a lichen, which is a complex organism, a symbiosis between a fungus and a cyanobacteria. You could be right. It often, it forms into like kind of circly, and it gets kind of like a spider web. If it gets enough of it, it turns like kind of spider webby. Said that it killed a beautiful olive tree I had because I thought I could treat it with alcohol. Or maybe I killed it with the alcohol and the lichen just spread more and more. Oh, well, on one hand, I'm glad it's an outdoor plant and isolated. Like the worst, like a couple years ago, I had to throw away all of my pothos plants because they all caught the same disease. Gerbot says, grateful I found a special soil for my succulents that don't hold on to water so I don't overwater them. You know what I'm talking about. Exactly. But like, it took me 5 decades to learn this basic thing. It's not the same in outdoors. Things dry out quicker out in outdoors, although depending on the soil and everything. But to me, it was counterintuitive. Especially when you buy potting soil, I would think, duh, that's what my plant wants. Not really. You add to the potting soil perlite. I buy these like bricks of coconut husks that you break up into the soil that doesn't hold the water very long. Carrie wants to learn to be a plant mommy. I was so resistant, but now I learned so much on YouTube. Edward, good morning. It says, I always need your positivity and reminder of gratitude. Me too. I led my men's group. It was my turn to lead, and I did a whole thing about gratitude and kind of, I mean, everybody knows gratitude practice is good. So I was like giving different framings of them and practices and ways to integrate it. Like, make it a mealtime thing. Every dinner, just say some gratitude before you eat, because you're going to eat every day. You have that. You're adding on to a habit. It's a lot easier than, okay, now I'm going to start the day with a gratitude list. And the other thing that, as I ended the night, I said, hey guys, like, we've been talking about this for 2 hours, and I have a feeling we're all really dialed in to gratitude and all juiced up, and our baseline of what we are taking for granted is like so low. We're so appreciative of the people in our life for very specific reasons, where we live, our friends, our health, all the things. We're totally dialed into that. And I can tell you, I don't know about all of you, but I'm pretty sure by tomorrow, you will be not nearly as in touch with this feeling of gratitude, which is why you got to practice. I got to practice. Sometime today, I'm going to forget. But I remember much quicker now because my gratitude muscles are like some of the strongest muscles in my body. Happy plants, happy life. See, I'm proud of my houseplants here. Like, we've been having sections of Lisa's chorus come over for practices. Like the baritones came over, and a couple nights ago, the sopranos and high altos were here. And I am so proud when people walk into our home and like our living room, we have no art on the walls. We just have tons of plants. And I'm proud to have a happy plant life. Sebastian says, today I'm feeling grateful for my mother-in-law who took care of our 1-year-old son for 15 days so we could go to Burning Man this year. It was special for us because we made him in Burning Man 2023. Oh my gosh, that is incredible. That is, I mean, I don't normally give out gratitude trophies, but you win gratitude today. And as silly as it may sound, we see him, or our readiness as a couple to have him, as a beautiful extension of our Burning Man experience. That totally makes sense to me. My best friend's Dimitri, he was no kids, and it was at Burning Man that he had the like clarity, like, I want to be a father. And now he has 5 babies. And 2 years ago, he brought them all to Burning Man when the twins were 1 year old and the oldest was 8. 5! Okay, the other 2 life lessons I'm going to share. I was just talking with my mom and just kind of how shocked that these are things that I didn't learn until growing up. One is how amazing a washcloth can be. I grew up not using a washcloth. I know to some people it's sick, but I would just put soap in my hand, lather my hands, and wash myself off. And then through Burning Man, because water is so scarce, I would get myself wet, use a washcloth to soak up, and then get a little bit more water to rinse, and rinse out my washcloth. And then I would use the washcloth to do my first level of drying, rinse it out. So drying with a washcloth as a way to keep the towel from getting super wet so that the towel doesn't need so long to dry out. I'm constantly, like I always put my towel over the shower because I want to have as much surface area as possible so it dries out. And by using the washcloth first, the towel doesn't get as wet and it dries out quicker. It doesn't get, I can use it longer without it getting moldy. By the way, how often do you wash your towels? If it's not getting moldy, how's it getting dirty? All it's doing is removing water from your, okay, that's a whole nother thing. I actually got so excited by washcloths about 5 years ago that I may have shared it here. I had a business idea. I wanted to make washcloths with inspirational sayings on them. And I actually had demos like made that said like, be present, have integrity, align with love. The idea that you start your day with looking at the mantra on your washcloth and then do these practices that I had just learned, but integrating gratitude into a washcloth use at the beginning of your day. I pitched Dr. Bronner's on it being a product that you would use Dr. Bronner soap using it. And David Bronner was very polite and patient and a good listener as I tried to explain my business idea. Although I was in the middle of explaining it, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And he could tell. He's an amazing guy, by the way, if you're curious. Really inspiring dude. Curious says, why do you need your towel to dry out quicker? Because like if my experience is if I hang it like so that there's folds touching, then that stays wet longer and is quicker to get like a mildewy smell to it, which then it needs to be washed. But if it dries quickly, it just stays clean. And next time I want to shower, it's nice for it to be dry. But it's more, my experience is if I hang it in a folded way where the folds are tight, it takes too long to dry out and it gets mildewy smelling quicker. Okay, these are great questions. And I still would love to hear any more gratitude that anyone has to share. So the other lesson that I learned just in the last year, wow, this is a circle of trust, right? Well, first of all, I am almost addicted to having a bidet now. Remember I earlier in this broadcast, I talked about my anal itching. Well, using a bidet instead of wiping, it makes it so much better. So whenever I'm home, we have a pretty nice bidet, not the best. My brother, man, when I went to visit his house, like we have a toilet seat bidet. He got a whole toilet that is integrated with a bidet. It like greets you in Japanese and asks your zodiac sign and then sprays the exact water infused with lavender. No, it doesn't do all those things, but it's pretty awesome. But I tend to have stool a little on the soft side. And so once every couple months, I'll have a bowel movement that I go to wipe and it's clean. And I'm just like, I am celebrating. I'm calling friends. I'm taking pictures and Instagramming it. But usually there's like a little nugget of soft poop that I have to wipe. And if I don't do it just right, I end up smearing it and then having to use tons of toilet paper cleaning up this smeared poop. And then sometimes I feel like, have you ever seen that Parks and Rec when Andy says, he's talking to the doctor, goes, when I poop, I can just keep wiping and wiping and wiping. It's like it's a magic marker. I just can keep wiping and wiping. I have that problem too sometimes. Again, bidet helps. Back on track. I saw a YouTube video of some parents teaching their kid to wipe by using 2 balloons with some pudding in it so that you could kind of see what happens with different types of wiping. And I had this aha moment that my first wipe should never be a wipe. It should be make a mitten of toilet paper and pinch that first little bit out so I don't smear it everywhere. Who knew? There's the most basic of life lessons I am still figuring out in my 50s. Woo! I promise, I'll take a picture next time. I'll Instagram it because this is important stuff. Kiri says, interesting, I wash my towel every couple of weeks, never notice the smell. And some of that can be like humidity where you are, or it also depends on the type of towel rack. Like most of my towel racks have been half the size of the towel, so you have to fold it and hang it. So when you fold it, all along the bar, it's moist touching moist, and it doesn't dry out quick enough. In my dream home, and I think we talked about this in the past, I think everybody even sent me a picture of, I want towel racks that are huge so I can drape my entire towel on it. Juan says, we need toilet paper with positive text. You did a great job. Be proud of your work. You are great at pushing in one spot. That's not a crazy idea. Or, well, I guess I've seen that of it could be like an anti-affirmation thing. So you can wipe your butt with, "You're not enough," and be like, "Oh yeah? Take that, inner critic." Edward's saying, "A bidet toilet is better for humans and the environment." You are correct, sir. Seriously. So I actually, my parents, when they remodeled their home maybe 20 years ago, they installed a bidet. But it wasn't like, I didn't understand it. I thought a bidet was for cleaning lady parts. I didn't think it was, because they had a separate thing. They had a toilet and then a bidet. And I didn't think that like poop or bad stuff could go down the bidet. I thought it was just for rinsing liquids. And it wasn't until, 3 years ago that I realized, oh, no, in terms of like luxury items that change quality of life, a bidet seat cover is, for me, on that list. And if you're looking that direction and you aren't super skilled, you do need to have an electrical outlet near your toilet, which unfortunately a lot of toilets don't have. And then you need to be able to, wire the water in. Wire the water in. See, I don't even know how to say it, but I hired a handyman to install ours. You're saying I was finally potty trained at 52. Well, I'll just say, at this point, I don't know. I'm just better than I used to be. I could still, in 30 more years, I could say, okay, I think I got it now. I'm ready for my certificate. Sebastian says, I was born in Uruguay and live in Spain, both countries where bidets are standard and have been for the last 100 years. We'll never understand why American cultures did not connect with bidets. There's actually a really good South Park episode about that. And South Park is a combination of just silliness and sometimes really smart ideas. And after you watch the episode, you're like, yeah, what the fuck? Why do we use so much paper for something that doesn't work as well? We're like one of the only countries that is obsessed with toilet paper to smear poop around our butts. Sebastian says, if we get our hands dirty, we wash them. Why would anyone think different about butts? Right? I know, like sometimes if I'm away from home, I will take some toilet paper and dampen it in a sink because I'm like, dry wiping, I'm going to use this whole roll. Sebastian says, so now I'm grateful to Christopher de Rosiers, who invented them in 1710. I salute you, Christopher. And Gerbot says, props to you for traveling so far to make it to Burning Man. Seriously, and without being political, props for venturing into the United States right now. That is, going to Burning Man is always a act of courage, and to be a non-citizen coming into the U.S. right now is a whole nother level of courage. So, fuck yeah, Sebastian. All right, last chance. Anyone want to share any gratitude? Oh my gosh, I have so much gratitude. I'm grateful. I think I mentioned yesterday. I have a relative that has a very harsh cancer diagnosis. Like the estimate is 2 good weeks before the pain management is going to will be at a level that they will be a different person, And that's a hard thing to get my head around. But what I'm grateful for is I was able to spend a good portion of yesterday with my parents and able to, I think, really be a good friend to my parents So I'm so grateful that they're still here. So grateful that we have such a good relationship. So grateful for a beautiful talk about end of life with my mom. And I'm grateful for this gratitude practice and how with such intense, painful news in my world, the dominant feeling in my body last night was gratitude. Grateful that I could spend that time with my mom. Yeah. Gratitude is a yes and process. It is not saying, no, nothing's wrong. It's saying, yes. It's hard sometimes, often hard. And the path is covered in gems. And there's no penalty to devote some of your attention to picking up the gems, to marveling at their beauty, to include the gems as part of the path, no matter how difficult it is. Heinun says, gratitude for still showing up here and listening to y'all, even though I am struggling. Thank you, John, and you all. Thank you, Heinun. Sometimes we are extending the hand. Sometimes we are reaching. And just knowing, I mean, that was something that someone in our gratitude circle shared with me, that they were going through, I can legit say, one of the most difficult life chapters that I can imagine. And they came to gratitude and said, I'm glad I can be here and feel my heart held by you. That's beautiful. That's how we do it. Do it together. Carrie says, gratitude was the dominant feeling in my body when I was with Sean and Buster in Hawaii on Buster's last day. It's interesting. When someone asked me, I told them about the harsh news that I got yesterday, and they're like, how are you doing? And there was a part of me that almost felt guilty to say, honestly, that the dominant feeling I'm having is gratitude. But I think it's good to remember that you're not going to forget to be sad. You're not going to forget to grieve. You're not going to forget to be frustrated and angry. I guarantee you don't need to put any extra energy into holding on to those emotions. They will get you. So if you have moments where gratitude is the dominant feeling, or joy, be with it 100%. Chris says, while we are sad of the passing of my aunt, we are grateful my cousins are gifting the hospital bed she had to my father, who's in the same facility. We are keeping it in the family. I mean, the more we can integrate death as part of life, I think the better we are. You know, it's not like, oh no, they're dying, they're losing. No, we're dying. We're always in the process of dying. And I love that family resource sharing. That's beautiful. Kim says, oh no, sounds like I need to rewind this and see what's going on for you. Sending love. I didn't say anything specifically, which I don't plan to for a bit, but just someone close to me, not in San Diego, has a aggressive cancer and has very little time. At the same time, you know, it's something like I was thinking about. I talked to someone else yesterday who a dear mentor of theirs died the night before in the bath. And it made me really think, like, this person that I know that has 2 weeks, there are people around and they're like, it's so little time, that's so little time. And there's a part of me, and maybe this is the gratitude. I don't say this in a confrontational way, but how amazing to have 2 weeks and not just get the news that they died. A friend of mine's dad had an aggressive cancer treatment, and they said, you've got maybe 4 months of deterioration. And he said, okay, I want to schedule my assisted suicide a week from today. And his family was like, what the fuck? What are you talking? What? We want as much time with you as possible. And he's like, I don't want to just get weaker and weaker and more feeble and need more and more care and attention. And so for a week, his kids came and his grandkids came, and the people close to him came and spent time with him and said things that they'd never said before and cleared the air on things. And like my friend asked, he said, Dad, could we just have a long hug and you just hold me? Something they've never done. And said, yeah. And so this man, I actually got to see him right before that and got to share stories of how he had impacted me in a positive way. It was really awesome. So having those 2 weeks, you have the opportunity to let people say the thing that they wanted to say the thank you, say the gratitude. And this man, in his last hours before he was making, doing the assisted suicide cocktail, he told his family, said, this last week was the best week of my life. Edward says, I'm also grateful for showing up and being with all of you wonderful, loving people who use honesty and love to create joy. Amen. I love the appreciation. Let's see. Hi, Noon and Sebastian, you guys are both on YouTube, so I know that you guys can read each other's comments. Juan says, sorry about the bad news that you got. Thank you for sharing. It does help us to put things in perspective. I love my problems. I love my problems. Yeah. Yeah. I'm also grateful for a new coaching client that reached out to me, and we had a preliminary call that I think we just have a real good, I think I really am looking forward to working with him. That's kind of where I'm at right now, is like, if we have a call, let's meet let's talk about where you're at, what your goals are, and if we have a vibe, and then I would love to do it. But I don't want to work with anybody where I'm like, I got clients today. Like, I'm lucky that I don't have to, and so I don't. That being said, if you're here and you are looking for one-on-one coaching, there's a good chance that we'd be awesome together. But he was sharing, he's at a point in his life where he's really doing pretty amazing, and he wants to now extend his offerings in the world to do more public stuff, to be out in social media and in videos and things. And I was so excited for him. I'm like, I think the world needs more role modeling of people walking the walk. We don't need more people regurgitating Tony Robbins stuff or inspirational speaking or, life hacking. ChatGPT can tell you all that stuff. But what we need is people who are walking the walk, having struggles and triumphs, and getting to witness the rewards of the work, the deep understanding of how hard things can be so that we can have partners in our growth. Having a teacher, a guru, or a elevated person to tell you what to do, it's like, Ram Dass. He was so clear. Sometimes I'm Ram Dass. Sometimes I am not. I'm very, fragile and vain and all the things. Heinen says, have some grateful moments today, y'all. All right. Oh, it's 9:45. Let's have a hug. Michael says, I am really grateful for getting my health and mobility back today. Been pretty down for the count, missing out on so much for weeks while I was sick. As I was just saying, thank goodness to feel better, and what a good thing to keep in your gratitude list. I don't feel that way anymore. Because if you can remember and just keep a finger on the injury, the sickness, the struggle, then your baseline goes, oh my gosh, I'm above that. No matter what else is happening, I'm healthy. I might not be healthy enough to run a marathon, but I'm healthy enough to get out of bed. Oh man, yes. And with that, wherever you are, let's share a hug. Give yourself a squeeze. Feel yourself holding not just your body, but the symbolic body of everybody who's here right now. Everyone who shared, everyone who might watch this recording, anyone who might have ever been through this Hug Nation space, being called to this vibration of gratitude and of being a love ambassador. Remembering our shared humanity, of how our details of our life are so different, but the themes, the needs, the desires, the frailty is all so parallel. So let's have compassion for all we pass. Let's have compassion for whatever traumas and struggles are maybe impacting people in ways that lead them to actions that are hard for us to forgive. Let's try to forgive them. Let's try to forgive ourselves. Let's try to be grateful for being a part of this incredible human conscious existence so that we can appreciate this universe and one another. Let's take a deep breath in and squeeze. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of us here, thanks for being here for Hug Nation Live. I love you. Oh, if you're in San Diego, 2 concerts coming up. October 2nd is a concert of medicine songs and music that Lisa is a part of in San Diego. That's October 2nd. And then the chorus performance that I'm in San Diego, October 14th. And there are 80 or so singers, so it'll sound great. If it was just me doing a recital, I would not invite you. But thanks, everyone. I love you. Is it Friday? Happy Friday. Oh, there's a new Stay Sparked mini episode up, too, about being a love ambassador. So check it out. And that other thing, if you have a chance, go to staysparked.com. I just registered that yesterday, and let me know if that works for you. Staysparked.com. Staysparked.com. It takes you to Spotify and to Apple, and it's super bare bones, but at least it's better than me trying to remember the Spotify URL.